Hi, I'm Lori. Welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses. Beautiful fall day here. What better days to start thinking about next spring, specifically time to plant some bulbs. Even when we get some frost starting this time of year, the ground is plenty warm for digging or sometimes moving plants if need be, but also for planning ahead, as I said, for spring of 2025. So let me show you some of the things that I've been making some plans on and show you what we have. I've got my peanut gallery here behind me showing up. So I have drumstick alliums, 10 of these. These are the tall alliums with the small flower heads, and I want to put those near, specifically in my rose garden, where they don't take up a real big footprint, but just having alliums planted near roses tends to thwart any sort of digging creatures. I have a bag full of daffodils, the pink daffodil collection. 5 pink charm, 5 accent, 5 frilly felier, 5 chroma color, and 5 pink radiance. These all came from Brex. I ordered them online. I picture these in the front of the house, the garden beds there. We had a professional landscaper come in, did a beautiful job, but a lot of the plants you can't even see from the road. Specifically, there was a certain kind of weigela that stays so low to the ground you can only see it if you're standing on top of it. But when it does bloom, it has a beautiful magenta flower, and I know that pollinators love that. I would like to pump up the pink, so to speak, and it'd be kind of a nice little accent color to have these different daffodils in those garden beds. Now, there's landscape fabric there, and that means digging through landscape fabric. Again, I'm not a big fan of landscape fabric for many reasons, but there have been daffodils that were left behind from my previous plantings when the landscaper came in and put this garden bed together. This is my husband's endeavor, that's not mine. But the daffodils just kind of found a way to come back, and I love that. And I made a mental note of that to add more daffodils because it looks so nice. There is nothing there for spring in that particular bed, and it is the front of the house. So, but I also need to be strategic about it and think about, placing them near where that weigela might be, so that when they do grow up, they can hide that fading daffodil foliage, which is, let's be honest, not attractive. They're kind of a one-hit wonder. They look great in the spring, but that's about it. The rest of the time, you don't want to cut that foliage down just too fast because that fading foliage is what feeds the bulbs. So last year, it was a real temptation to cut down the fading foliage, but I know that those daffodils will be back this following spring. So I'd like to make it look intentional instead of accidental and add some daffodils there. So at least there'll be some pretty spring blooms. I also have some more narcissus apricot whirl. I'm going to put that in the north garden, which gets full sun. Again, just something to look out that window and see some blooms in spring. I think it really brings a cheer to me anyway. I think for a lot of people as well. So that, and I have a couple bags of hepatica. So those little tiny little flowers, and I will put that in my south garden beds here. I'm sorry, in my west garden beds. So let's get at it, see how much we can get done. Here we go. I begin by starting underneath our Japanese lilac tree, where there's nothing going on here except the tree. Some pink charm daffodils and accent daffodils. Both of these are in the early spring. The chroma color daffodil I'm going to put underneath this panicle hydrangea. I figure when it's in full bloom, it'll sort of hide the fading foliage. And the same with these weigelas, which don't have a lot of interest beyond when they first pop up. So some chroma color daffodils, which these weigelas can hide their fading foliage. I put a clump in front of this weigela and the one right next to it. And pink radiance daffodil, this one in mid-spring, I put in the corner of my rose garden. So I thought that'd be kind of nice. You could see it from the driveway. The drumstick allium, I've put those in at the entrance by the Stand By Me clematis as well to kind of, again, all these bulbs can help thwart digging animals. So hopefully they'll leave my clematis and my roses alone. Frilly Fellers daffodils, it's part of the pink daffodil collection from Brex. Planted those in the western end of my garden, my rose garden, right by the ferry, and a surprise lily back in there. I figure with a nice pink color, and again, and planted by the pink mums, I think that, you know, both of those other plants can help dye their foliage. I did have to put some anti-digging netting down though, because they were dug up by squirrels. And I buried some Elvin's Voice daffodils right here next to my Pomonium Golden Feathers and up here next to my Foxglove. So I figured nestled in here, they will bloom early, some of the first to bloom, but then as these other plants come up, they'll hide their fading foliage. So hopefully it'll be a win-win. And I put some Hyacinths Orientalis, mixture of the blues, 10 of them nestled in here at the top of the north wall. I have some Siberian Iris that never came up, Careless Sally, among others. And there's some Helenium in here, some Phlox. Squirrels have been digging in here, so I'm not sure what they're after. Possibly some tulip bulbs. But I do know they'll leave hyacinths alone because they're toxic to every creature. So hopefully this will be my insurance to kind of let all the diggers out there know this is a no-dig zone. So we shall see. Okay, well, it took a couple of days, a short bout with the flu, but now I'm finally done planting my bulbs for the spring of 2025. Now, that doesn't mean I'm by any stretch of the imagination done with gardening for this year. There are still some big projects left to do. For example, a big decision to make for the front of the house, and that's because a sad day, we finally lost our ash tree. After fighting emerald ash borer for 4 years, it started to fail. Dropping branches, dropping leaves has been going on all summer. And we've treated it and watered it and babied it, and the thought of trying to get it through another winter with the heavy snowfall, just the structural integrity was gone, sadly. So we lost a 40-year-old shade tree. And that's horrible. That's a sad day. But I think gardeners are always looking at opportunities. You can't really control everything in your garden, no matter whether you're a master gardener or just a super awesome green thumb. Things happen. So just keep moving forward and see what else we can do. I've got some decisions to make, though, regarding what to do with that space now. I would like I would like an airplane to not be going over when I'm doing this, but that's always the way it goes. Making the most of an opportunity. No, I would like another big shade tree. But I don't know that I will see, I'm certainly not going to live long enough to see the tree reach the kind of maturity and beauty of the one that we just lost. But it's a wise person who plants trees for the future, not for themselves, right? So I will think about that and try to make decisions about maybe what can go in that space. I don't know, what do you think? What kind of shade tree? I'm in zone 5B, and I would like a tree that has year-round interest. A shade tree, something good for wildlife. It doesn't have to flower in the spring, but, you know, like I said, some year-round interest would be nice for a shade tree that's, you know, I have some different options I've been considering, but I just don't really know at this point what decision I'm going to actually make. In the meantime, I also have a couple decisions to make in my rose garden. I have a rather unruly penstemon, which I think is probably, in all honesty, too big for that space. It's not a big space. So I have to look at where I might move that. I might move that to my parents' garden out at their retirement community, because I think they do have a space that would probably welcome a big pop of color like that. And I have a couple other things I'd like to move around. Winter is a good time for planning, for scratching some things out, figuring some things out, and that's what we're going to do. So, if you have comments or questions or thoughts, I hope that you share them. Let me know. I'm glad that you joined me here. I do hope that you like and subscribe to the channel so we can stay in touch. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Always more work to do. And, oh, even Buddy thinks so. His kind of work is a little bit different than ours, though. See you soon.